Hi, friends. This is Mrs. Chandler. I have a story I'd like to share with you today for our virtual field trip. It's called A True Princess of Hawaii. The reason why I chose this story for a virtual field trip is because it was important to me to share a book that gave you an idea to the culture of Hawaii. Now, currently today, Hawaii's mythology is an important part of everyday life. So I thought it would be a great idea to read this story so you could have an idea of what that means. So this is called A True Princess of Hawaii by Beth Greenway, illustrated by Tammy Yee. Bells rang throughout Hilo. Nani woke up and put on her fancy dress with the red petticoat. A princess should always look her best, she said. She shined her shoes and put several pieces of candy in the pocket of her pinafore. Nani wanted to be a princess. She walked daintily to school, careful not to scuff her shoes. The bells were still ringing. The neighbor boy, Kyoki, ran past her. "What is happening?" Nani called out. Kyoki slowed down. "No school today. Lava is flowing from the mountain. It is heading for Hilo." Mauna Loa, the largest volcano in the world, had been bubbling with lava for months, but it never before came this close. It poured out of a vent on the side of the volcano. Down the rocky slopes it traveled. Once the lava started, there was no way to stop it. "What can we do?" cried Nani. "Not to worry, the lava is slow. Princess Luca is coming. She'll ask Pele to stop the lava from destroying our town." And Kyoki zoomed away towards the town pier. Pele was the goddess who lived in the volcano. Her temper determined how far the lava would flow. Princess Luca would know how to appease Pele. "A true Hawaiian princess," said Nani. "I must go and greet her." But a hand touched her shoulder and stopped her. A very old woman wrapped in a white stood before Nani. "Little girl, might you spare a bite to eat?" Poor old grandmother, thought Nani. She must have come from the mountain. Perhaps lava has destroyed her home. "Here, Tutu, this is all I have," said Nani, as she placed several pieces of candy in the old woman's hand. "I must go now. The princess is coming." Nani squinted down the street. When she turned back, the old woman had gone. Nani shrugged and hurried on her way. The sailors rowed ashore to the waiting crowd. "Did the princess bring her royal carriage?" asked Nani. "No," said Kyoki. "It's just the princess." Princess Luca, the most royal of royals, was 6 feet tall. Nani thought the princess looked strong and dignified. The princess climbed into a borrowed wagon. The horse refused to move. Nani hurried over to the wagon and pushed. Kyoki tugged at the horse. The rest of the townspeople pitched in. "It's not working," said Kyoki. "The horse still won't budge." Nani walked up to the horse. Hopefully the princess wouldn't notice how dirty her shoes were. Nani offered the horse her last piece of candy. The horse perked up her ears and gave a snicker. She slobbered all over Nani's hand, but she also began to move. The horse, the wagon, and the princess headed for the lava flow. The slopes of Mauna Loa smoldered and burned with Pele's anger. No one knew what caused her anger. Pele would sometimes disguise herself and walk among the people of the island. Someone or something must have offended the goddess, and only a high-ranking royal could right the wrong. The black lava with the fiery underbelly crept across the land directly for Hilo. Princess Luca ordered the wagon to stop. She slowly climbed out and approached the lava. The princess held out her hand. "What does the princess want?" asked Nani. "A red hanky," said Kyoki. "She needs a red hanky to appease Pele." No one had a red hanky. Nani knew what she had to do. "I have one," she cried out. She ripped a large square out of her fancy petticoat. Princess Luca gently kissed the red piece of cloth. She tossed it into the growing lava. It burst into flames. She raised her large arms and chanted. Her words echoed throughout the slopes of molten rocks. The princess took a bottle from the town's mayor and sprinkled its contents on the hot mass. Then she climbed back into the wagon and returned to town. It was much easier going downhill. The next morning, the town bells rang out once more. The lava had stopped. Princess Luca had calmed Pele's temper. Hilo was safe. Nani went down to her pier to see the princess off. Nani wore her plain, everyday petticoat and her shoes were scuffed. Princess Luca waved goodbye to the grateful crowd, but she turned away. She popped a small something into her mouth. "Candy," said Nani out loud. "She sure doesn't look like a princess," said Kyoki. "A true princess is known by her deeds," said a voice from behind. Nani turned and saw a beautiful young woman. The lady smiled, and tiny sparks flew from her eyes. "Kyoki, it must be Pele." Nani nudged her friend, but when Kyoki looked, the lady had vanished. Nani felt something in her pocket. There were 2 large peppermints. She shared her candy with Kyoki. One should always behave like a princess, especially when Pele is watching. The end. And at the end of the story, if you check this out on Epic, you'll find all kinds of information about Princess Luca, Moana Loa, the Pacific Rim of Fire, volcano vocabulary, and much more. Thank you for listening to my story today. Please enjoy the rest of your Hawaiian field trip. See you next time.